Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm having a time. I brought all these books over, and it feels like I got a lot going on. I do have a lot going on, actually. Welcome. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and jump into this. Why I got this one piece that won't stick out, not stick out. Hello. I am having a heck of a morning. It's not bad, but it's just, I don't know. You just have one of those days where it's like you start off and it's just like, it's just off. It's not the end of the world, but it's just off. I'm going through some changes over here. My hair is not cooperating. And that's the worst part for women. I think when you get to the point where it's like your hair is just not doing the things. Like I got this one short lock that broke off and it wants to just stick out. I guess I'll just let it be, right? Anywho, welcome. I'm Mika here at Leap Taken. I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And welcome. Today we're going to be talking everything you need to know about books of shadows. That's what today's topic is going to be. I'm quite excited to talk about this because I love working with my book of shadows. I love, I love all of this. I love creating them, working with them. It's kind of my jam. So much so that I've created my own for that very reason. I'm just getting everything lined up. Yeah, so much that I've created my own because I love them so much. So yeah, but we're going to be diving deep into a topic. I'm asked about books of shadows a lot, actually, between this channel and the other channel, and also, with some of my clients wanting help with, well, how do I get started? What do I put into it? Some people do want aesthetic, they want pretty, they want all the things. Other people sort of they want something they really can use, that it's really a tool in your practice, and that I definitely relate to. Let me turn these off before the inevitable noise happens. Whew. And my question is to you, if you're watching this, do you keep a book of shadows? Do you have one? Um, are you thinking about starting one? So, what is a book of shadows? A book of shadows isn't just, I wouldn't say it's just a witch's notebook. It's a living, breathing archive of your magical journey. So it holds your spell work, your lessons, your questions, your triumphs. Think of it as a magical mirror. It shows you where you've been and what you've sort of become or becoming. The term Book of Shadows has different meanings for different witches. For some, it's private. For others, it's a practical working book. Um, and I am curious, do you separate, and let me know in the comments, um, when we talk about the difference between a book of shadows, which is kind of personal, emotional, sacred, and a grimoire, which might be more clean, organized, more of a public reference tool, if you approach it like that. Do you separate your book of shadows and grimoire, or do you keep everything in one? Heads up, I'm not really a stickler on this. This is not like a thing where it's like, oh, you should be properly saying it's a book. Then people call it book of mirrors. I didn't even get into that, but I kind of use the terms interchangeably. Most practitioners do. It's not the end of the world if you do or if you don't. But do you separate the? Do you have something like this is my book of shadows and this is my grimoire? I'm just curious. I just keep creating books as I'm about to actually display to you guys. um, so I did have a quote I wanted to emphasize. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's about being in your craft, not performing it. And I make this distinction even though I'm somebody who says, oh, what good is the craft if you're not practicing it? It kind of tips into that. Honestly, practicing your craft, practicing your work could be putting pages in your book of shadows. Maybe that's all you're doing. Maybe you just want to write and you want to make beautiful pages, or beautiful and highly facts and knowledge and firsthand account pages in your books. And that is also magic. There is interaction that's taking place when you write in your books that is magical, and something can come out of that. You can create out of that. Uh, you can manifest out of that. Some people do scripting. So you could just be doing scripting. Maybe most of your practice right now is you just writing things down or making collages, sort of like a scrapbook style pages and things like that. Maybe that's where you're at, and that's where the magic is really lying. That's where the magic is being created. So, what to include in said book of shadows? Again, there's no right or wrong way to fill your book up. So, I'm going to take a pause and show you some of, like, I'm going to highlight. So, I brought over the books of shadows that I've actually created, meaning like I converted a book to other people who have kind of sold the concept of a book of shadows, and they give you front facing information, and then there's a couple blank pages in the back, to mine where I give you front facing information, but a lot of them toward the middle and back for you to fill with your magical journey. So I'm going to just show you. This is my what I call my cottage witch grimoire. So I converted a book. The book was the Good Witch's Daily Spell Book. That I converted this um, and made it my own. So she's so juicy and big. I have to, keep that on here. But let me just show you a little bit of this book. So, Cottage Witch Book of Shadows, or Grimoire Book of Spells, that's what it says here. So, this is what I have. This is how I started it. This is a completed book that I started. So, um, as far as what do I have, spells, my reflections, just my notes, all kinds of stuff in here. This was a fun book to create, by the way. So I had like things like that kind of pop out. I have pockets, as you can see here on this page. So, and I use different type of mediums, yeah, to create these pages. This is about essential oils, by the way. Um, so it's all kinds of like stuff in here. And the pages are not quite all the same either. Like I said, this is my completed book. And I wrote here, this is about banishing. Then I have like home and hearth goddesses, a page for that I wrote in. I like things, I have like an envelope here, just sort of tucked in here, but like love magic mojo bag, all kinds of stuff. Happy home blessing oil recipe, very much things related to my practice. This is information about plants over here. I got like about the snake plant, and I got here like black candle protection for the home. I talk a lot about like here about the black candle that I would use and all that sort of stuff. So cord cutting candle spell and some written information here. Invite opportunity spell, a sell and seance. I got that in here. So this is, like I said, a completely filled up book. This is about glamour magic over here. So when I say I created, I'm into it. Um, Hi, Ruby. So yeah, this is my Cottage Witch Book of Shadows. So what I have in here is sort of, I didn't I created the pages first, and I sort of just filled it in, and I took my time filling it in, but I wanted this to be something completed, something I could constantly reference. And if I want, I just put extra pages in if I choose to in this book. But I love, this was a labor of love. I love creating this book. Matter of fact, we're gonna put you over here because you're in my way. Okay. So, detailed ideas that you might want to include, spells and rituals, like I mentioned, ones you've created or adapted. So, if you saw something in a book, where I've seen things, I'm on Pinterest like everybody else, I'll see things or I'll see somebody else do something. And sometimes, you sign up for like different pages, websites, and stuff like that. you're in your email list. I know I'm one of those people. I don't email all the time though. If you go to leaptaken.com. But anyway, yeah, I'll go to the webs, and they'll send you stuff. So sometimes people send you like a grimoire page, and maybe there was something in there for a ritual that I really liked. I'll print it and cut it out, and maybe I'll put it in my book of shadows or I'll rewrite it. But I always adapt it to my practice and to me. So I almost never do something exactly as it's been printed by somebody else because it usually doesn't jive, right? So spells and rituals, either you've created or you're adapted. And even if you don't, and you think maybe you will adapt it in the future, I'd put it in there and be comfortable with writing in your margins on your book or adding a sticky note or sticky note on there or something like that. That's up to you. You can do whatever you want. Remember, another thing to include are magical correspondences like your herbs, crystals, moon phases, colors, days of the week, and for those who are really into astrology and things like that, definitely a place you could adapt that. Although I would say if you are beyond the average, let's say, which with astrology and you're a lot more deeper into it, I would create a whole book for that, to be honest with you. Um, Deity work. So with deity work, dedications, signs received, offerings made, any specific rituals and things like that. So this, oh, did I grab the right book? Is this the right one? No. Now okay. This is actually a different book, but um, before I get into this, because I want to talk about this deity work thing. This is a book, and I've shared this on this channel. This is a notebook that I started. It is a grimoire for Persephone. So, yeah, I created this for her. And this is filled with a bunch of information, a lot of pages that I've created in here for her. And some things I found and I print it, and I just it helps me to understand and want to connect. A lot, things with my notes and things like that. But yeah, you can put all kinds of stuff in here, kind of like your interactions, what you felt, the dream that you had about this particular deity or something like that. You have space. This is where I like to go crazy using the internet, trying to find like representation that I can connect to. So this is my Persephone, and as you can see, the imagery I have found for her is that her being with black skin, with brown, or technically brown skin, but yeah, varying shades, because that works for me to connect with. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Then I have like, what is this page? This is this is a spell jar that I created. I keep this in here because the pages get sticky. But yeah, so you can, put all kinds of stuff in your book. It's up to you. I have a bookmark here. So the mature Persephone archetype, this is a perfect example. I found this, I believe, on Pinterest, and I cut it out and print it and cut out, and then made it my own. Same with the information on this page, and I add stickers and stuff like that. I love converting pages and doing these things. Um, and I can do it on any book, including the ones that I create. But this is what I meant by like deity work. If you want to write things down, like I said, you can make it pretty, but if you can see on some pages, like don't look at a blank page and be like, oh, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to do. If you can see here, it's mostly images. I typed this out and then typed it in Word and then printed it, and yeah, that helps me here. And it's just like talking about the summer months and stuff like that. This has been like super helpful to me. I don't understand what's happening. Why am I getting the top? What are you doing, Rudy? I don't. This is about. I don't know. I don't know what this is. But hello, thanks for the engagement. Um, Another one is tarot and oracle spreads. Your results, interpretations, and things like that. Now, I have a couple different ways I go about it. One of the things that I do have, and I use this for actual clients for a while, is you can purchase something like a tarot journal. This is the Modern Witch Tarot Journal. You can have something separate if you want, or you can create, just have it kind of all in. The imagery on this book is like just classy. It's just beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Like, it's so pretty. It's so freaking pretty. Anyway, but you can have something separate. Maybe you don't want to. Everything could be all in one thing. It doesn't have to be separate. I'm just giving you, like, showing you things to kind of, give you some ideas if you were interested. And like what goes in, because a lot of people aren't sure. They think it's just a book of spells, which it can be, but you can put all these things into one. So the other thing, dream journals. So any meditative visions that you had and things like that. Now, there is something else that I've created, and I keep it in here that I'll show you on this topic. Let's see if I can pull this out. I'm going to lay this out on a bed because this is a big daddy. I'm just going to take it out though. So this is my witchy planner that I create and sell at my website, leaptaken.com. So my witchy planner makes room for all this because I'm me and this is how I get down. So this is it. So it's a printable, so something you print. But one thing that I do have in mind are dream journal pages. I'm going to get a blank one. Dream journal pages. So I have that already in my book if you wanted to purchase that. I also have tarot, daily oracle tarot. I'm trying to get to a blank page because I realized I've wrote in mine, but I have this too. So this is an option as well for you with my with the download of my planner. So it depends on how you want to approach it. I'm going to show you guys something else. If I can flip back, there we go. Also, what I would like to also show you is I keep in here in a different section. I actually create monthly moon readings. That's what I call them, tarot oracle readings. It's a subscription. You can find the information at leaptaken.com. But this is what I mean when you get these beautiful pages to add to your grimoire or your journals. And this is a section in my book. This is from April, actually. So this is kind of what you get, these custom beautiful pages. So you get the spread itself, which I have here, and then another page with the readings, but I keep those in my book as well. But yeah, so maybe a planner slash book of shadows is more your speed because you kind of want everything. I strongly suggest something like the witchy planner. It's undated, so you can go in. The only thing that is dated is the yearly pages. That's going to have the it's going to give you the year at a glance of like 2025 and 2026. So yeah, outside of that, and I'll update those as time goes on. But anyway, so just some ideas. We're talking all things Book of Shadows. So, it's open to interpretation on what you want. Some people it's going to be a planner versus just a notebook style. And that's okay, right? Or again, everything I'm talking about is all in one book. Maybe you're that type. I think I'm a lot of types anyway. Another thing is Sabbath reflections and the Wheel of the Year celebration. So my practice is very much based on the Wheel of the Year. So this is another book that I've created, and I've actually used this book conducting spells and things like that. So it's got like candle wax and spots on it. But yeah, I wrapped her. So this one is also pretty large too. And I've shared a lot of this one on the channel as I began to try to fill this book up. But I want to show you guys, like when I talk about seasonal, like this is my Maybon page. And I have like a gratitude spell, prosperity spell, things like that. And then I have even more information here about a Maybon ritual. I created this page. So, have fun. This is my Letha summer solstice pages. So when I talk about the wheel of the year, like this is what I'm talking about, being able to put this information in your books and be able to reference it. Um, you know, forever. I'll always have this information. And more importantly, honestly, when I look in these books, I know where my headspace was. I know what I was thinking. I know like where I was magically, so to speak, with everything. And it kind of brings it all together for me. um that's, I don't know, that maybe it's how my brain works. Like I connect back again to where I was. I want to show you something as well. Prior to, I had did like this printout for Letha for another time. Is there were coloring pages and I added it to the book, so you can add additional pages. I just used washi and some glue in the spine section, and I added these additional pages as things fly out. That's what it's like though, having these books, things fly out. I'm okay with that. And I have like Samhain things here as well. Like it's a lot in this book. Oh, let me put this back. So yeah, definitely Will of the Year. I think I'm gonna start a pile down here so I can have room. Yeah. Anyway, so definitely, Will of the Year stuff is in my book for sure. I'm gonna put stuff back together again. Um, Ancestor work and spirit messages. That's another thing that you want to include or try to make room to include in your books or book. And what that looks like, again, that's going to be totally up to you on how you want to do that. Um, One of the things, this was kind of my first completed book that I did. And I do have a lot of messages here because I work with, especially during this time, I worked a lot with tarot, and I would write down a lot of the messages in this book. So a lot of this has everything to do with like tarot pools and stuff like that. I'm just looking now, like I've got all spreads and information and my interpretations and all that sort of stuff. That's mostly, this is a lot of written stuff in this book for me, of in my interpretations, like page after page of this, by the way. Also, I was really good about like checking first with my ancestors before I would do a spell. So I would do like a reading ahead of time. So that was something I would do like almost every time. Um, Even my reflections, like this is like it says night of the new moon. This is from like 2019. um, but you need a place to record all that information. You think you're going to remember, and reality is most of us are not. From 2019, a message that would be taking place over the next, like, 7, 8 years or something. Like sometimes you get messages like that on what to do with the next path. And it's like, it's not a just a today message, it's an ongoing thing. You're going to want to write this stuff down. Trust me. Shadow work entries. So with shadow work entries, like breakthroughs, any emotional processing, stuff like that, you definitely want to be able to write that down. Now, in this book, this is something that I started. This was like a store bought book. I remember getting this in Barnes and Nobles years ago, right? I don't know if anybody else received this. I actually completed the book. It's all filled and it's a lot of reflection. This is like, I'm looking at the year. I think I started 2016. I started this one. Man, that's crazy. Anyway, so I started this back then, and it's mostly just like hand. It's not, a lot of couple diagrams, but a lot of just me writing in here, and a couple things I pasted in. But yeah, it's a lot of just me journaling. And I realized I had been doing a lot of shadow work and things like that in that time frame for sure. And I was writing messages, how I felt, any breakthroughs, and yeah, processing a lot in here, a combination with tarot, oracle cards, and things like that, and dream work. And then there's the everyday magic. That's where you're going to write down your kitchen recipes, your household charms, your seasonal decor, and your intentions and things like that. Now, that can look however you want it to look, as well. I have a couple different things. So I also sell something called the Cottage Witch Grimoire. So this is just the cover which I personally adore. So this is my first thing, and it was just blank pages. That it was a printable, and I do, and this is small. I kind of made this, and I have like notes in here that I was working with this book. So I have plenty of notes in here that I worked with. So the intention was kind of using this like a pretty notebook. I love the cover. I created that. Anyway, I sell this at leaptaken.com, and it's just there. It's relatively inexpensive. You just download the printable, and I laminated mine. But yeah, your kitchen recipes, everything, all that sort of stuff. I actually started a kitchen which grimoire. I keep it in the kitchen. It's basically recipes and stuff like that. So that's in there. Um, Back to kind of working with your Sabbath reflections and things like that. So last year I started something called the Dark Half of the Year Grimoire, Book of Shadows, and I took this book, Wizardology. I got it off of Amazon, by the way. I took this book and I converted it, which I'm going to show you. I completely converted this book. This is not what this book looks like. I changed it drastically. But, I wanted to have fun with it, and I did. Like, we started this with Halloween, Samhain. So the first is the dark half of the year. So we started with this, and I worked on this with everybody. Like I did a whole series with this of updating the pages and things like that. This was a fun thing to work on. So we have a lot of Samhain, and then I saw this page beyond Samhain, and we started the next chapter as well, which was coming into like Yule and things like that. So I created pages for that. A New Year's spread. So, like I said, I had a lot of fun with this book. Um, Man, in bulk, which I wanted to work it up into this point, and that's where I got it. I even got like a feelings dump page, which was fun. It was fun creating this page as well. And the rest is just like this is y'all what the book actually looked like. Like these were the pages. I've just taken liberties and did like other stuff to it. But yeah, this is my dark half of the year that I refer to um, whenever I want, and I can use it again and again, or modify, or even because I have some extra pages left if I wanted to kind of do something more this year. Um, but yeah, now another option, and I'm gonna get to it. So this is the charm. I got this off of Sheen actually. My coven sister told me this was out here, so you can see it's kind of flexible and bendy. Um, and it just says first last name on here. It's Sheen, y'all. But this is from Charmed, and it has the Book of Shadows page, which oddly enough, I have in my other book. It says 1693, and it's basically a replica of the Charmed book of Shadows that they always refer to. The pages feel kind of like they have like a bit of texture to it, and I know it's not going to come through. But do you see like the paper? It's so cool how they did this. I'm actually really impressed. But anyway, the thing about this book that kind of honestly inspired me to when I was creating mine is they give you the blank pages in the back. Now they don't give you a whole lot like I do, but they give you a good amount for you to sort of continue adding to the book. When I remember seeing this, it kind of got my juices flowing as well for this. But this is more of like a collectible for me. I don't know if I'll ever actually add pages. Maybe I will from like the spin-offs of the other. This is like getting into pop culture magic and things like that. But I do like having things like this. It's aesthetically pretty, right? And yeah, if I wanted to, I could add more. But you could work with something like this. Let's say you say, well, no, I do want to continue this book. I want to make this my own. I want to see if I could work some of the spells that are in this book. Go for it. That can be your thing too. But more back to the sort of everyday magic. That's where this is going to come into play. This is the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch. You can purchase this through Amazon. leaptaken.com, and of course the TikTok shop as well. The links are in the description. This is a great place for kitchen recipes, household charms, seasonal decor intentions, and things like that. So this, by the way, I made this. This is me. This is definitely a book for that purpose. So you already get sort of that information, recipes, and things like this are in the book. And then, of course, you get these blank pages here to continue your magical journey. That's the point of it. Now, the thing that I want to point out about this book, um, when I created it, I wanted it so that it didn't feel overwhelming. The pages are numbered, by the way, so it's about 100, just over 100 pages in this book. I didn't One of the problems I had initially was seeing a bunch of blank paper, and it would kind of freak me out because I didn't know what to put into those blank pages, and I got overwhelmed very quickly. Having a book with information already, you have something to kind of go off of, and you can, create your own. I have one of my cousin sisters takes books like this, and if it's like the information on the page, if it doesn't jive for her, she'll just cover the page. And now, but she likes the cover, and she likes the kind of the theme, the information overall. But she'll take something like this and just convert it, kind of like I did with that other book. Do that if you want. That's perfectly fine as well. But this is good for kind of like your everyday magic, and it could be all encompassing. If you're a cottage witch, a hearth witch, a house witch, domestic witch, this kind of book is definitely, you can put sort of everything in here. And the thing that I also wanted to do is I wanted to leave it so with, you can write in the margins, you can add paper in the spines and things like that. Definitely, as you can see, this is definitely something I'm accustomed to doing. I strongly suggest you do it as well. Now, this is where we get a little bit more particular. Same thing with the Hoodoo Grimoire. This could be something that you do every day. Everything that I talked about, magical correspondences, deity work, tarot, oracle spreads, dream journals, your Sabbath reflections, if you're working with that, or if you're doing seasonal, this is something you can write everything down in this book. So this is also a book that you can purchase through Amazon, leaptaken.com, or of course, again, the TikTok shop. It's the Hoodoo Grimoire. Um, this is flying over at the TikTok shop. I'm not gonna hold y'all, like that's where my hoodoos are. Anyway, so the same premise, you have these additional blank pages in the back to continue your journey. These pages are a little different. Each book is different. This one, the pages, I don't know if you can make that out. They're kind of like a tea stained aesthetic as well, because why not? But yeah, this again, I have the correspondence information in here, rituals information in here, and there's a room for you to write. I didn't want it to be so filled. Like you can write in these spaces, add notes, add washi tape, go off, make it your own. Again, for speaking of aesthetics, and I guess getting more specific, we have the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch. She's shiny. So this is the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch. Now this one, same premise. You get the information up front, and you get the blank pages for you to create and make your own. The blank pages are really pretty. There's a relevant, detailed information again to get you started with this one. This can be your everyday. If I'm somebody who, if even if I don't refer to myself as a glamour witch or love witch, but I'm actively working self-love work, spells, rituals, things to, for whatever purpose. If it's just to connect with self, for me, it was after coming out of a marriage. I wanted to connect with myself, heal myself. This was born out of that. This is definitely my ancestral ties. And this is where I've sort of arrived at this stage of my life, working as a hearth cottage witch. This was definitely come from my healing journey. I have been very public about my healing journey actually here without overdoing it, but I've shared a lot of that. This is kind of like in sort of like once I felt healed and from that experience and kind of processing and journaling and working with my ancestors, working with deities, this came up. Aphrodite definitely came to me and worked with me through this before I even realized it. Oshun has been with me the entire time. Working with Yemaya has definitely been something that has been beneficial to me as well. Um, but especially, I guess, water deities in general or water energy, things that flow. So your Oshun, your Maya, um, mermaid spirits, things like that. Yeah, all of that. So this is a place that you could definitely continue your journey and write down kind of any additional rituals, card readings that you're doing. If you're working with these goddesses and things like that, or working with spirit, also your reflections, your dream work. If you were doing shadow work, this is definitely the place to put that information in it. So, as you can see, you can really get really varied with things. Now, last thing I'm going to point out to you is this kind of shiny book, and I've started, and it's by no means completed. And look at this; it's a book of mirror. I think that a little bit when I use this, but this is something I've created. I converted a book, and this is supposed to be a legacy book that I may want to leave. So I have some information in here. I won't share, but so much. And I have a beautiful dedication page that I wrote here to whoever would get this book. But yeah, this is something that I also created. So there's so much, right, that we could do with this. When someone asks me, they're thinking they're just getting an overall answer. I could talk about this all day because first of all, I love paper crafting and I love talking about witchcraft. And I definitely enjoy kind of discussing how to record and document, your journey and my journey and so forth. Like, this is kind of my jam. So let's talk about how to enchant and bless your book of shadows. So you've made a decision, you're working with your book of shadows. Let's say you're working with the book of shadows for the love witch, right? Um, so make your book of shadows magical from the start. So you get this, you purchase this, you get this. You want to start with as the phone rings, inevitably. Anyway, with an intentional blessing or enchantment. Now, I do have a dedication page in each of the books. Simply reading that with intention can be your blessing. And that was my mindset when I created it. However, you can charge your book under a full moon or during a Sabbath. Now, tomorrow is Beltane, May 1st. So if you want, that's a perfect time. Beltane, a modern approach, would be about fertility, but turn fertility into the concept of abundance, not just like reproducing. If you are gardening and things like that, or you're working on your own healing journey, you want creativity, abundance, the energy around healing, fertility is perfect. So this is a perfect time. So if you wanted to charge this is a good time. You could anoint the corners with oil like rosemary or mugwort or whatever you find essential, or a little rose water, very small amount, just some on your finger, and you kind of just run it around the edges. You could wrap it in silk, lace, or your favorite fabric as well. Store it near or on your altar, or you could put it under your pillow as well if you're comfortable doing that as well, or next to your bed for that energy to kind of build this connection. You can do that as well with your books. Um, how do as far as the book, there's a lot of places you can go to get a book blessing. um Pinterest is your friend. Like I said, I already have dedications in each one of the books to kind of get you started. You can just read those words and say them 3 times with intention. That's another way to get started. You can also use crystals like clear quartz, amethyst, obsidian, um as well. You can place that on your book like so, for charging purposes, so you can do things like that. Ah. um, to kind of charge or for protective energy, whatever your intention is, or all of that. Um, so what my book of shadows taught me, I kind of share that a little bit. Like, this definitely came out of a healing episode. I wouldn't say episode. Um, Years, like handful of years of working through healing. Um, but I do like rereading my old entries it kind of feels like revisiting myself, like my past self, or not yeah, visiting my past self. Um, Even preparing for today's video, I realized that when I look in these books, like where my mindset was, sometimes I'm genuinely impressed with some of the things that I've done and I've created because it feels like, we all have those moments where like you did at that time, you don't feel like you can do it again, or maybe you're not feeling very creative. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You kind of just feel like, I mean, I did it that one random Saturday. I don't know if I can repeat this. Hello, Alana Huntress. Oh, I love your name. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you don't feel like you can duplicate the same level of creativity. Yes, you can. We can. You can. I know that because I literally just shared these, and these were not all done at the same time. These were done over time, and I come back and I can add more. And I'm not even showing you guys. I have a Coven Book of Shadows that we all sort of work together and have not, that I can't share it, so I won't. But anyway, like there, the creativity and things, and there kind of just blows me away sometimes. And some days it's not like that on the pages. It's just because of my chicken scratch writing, and that's okay too. But seeing that lets me kind of know who I was and what, like, where I can look at the date, I can read it, and I know why I wanted to do that spell. I know the energy behind it, and that's kind of like, I don't know, isn't that fascinating that, you can do that? It is for me. It fills me with awe sometimes. Um, and also my handwriting, my emotions, it was all captured. Like that energy is captured on those pages. And I kind of like really, I don't know, something about that does something to me. When I read my words, it kind of throws me off a little bit sometimes. And also, like I said, I'm in awe, and it's I like doing it though. It helps me. Sometimes you don't realize this isn't your first rodeo with some energy, depression, anxiety, different catalysts, but the same emotions, the same feelings. And sometimes I think it's good to kind of go back and look, and you're like, wait a minute, I've been here before. And you wrote down how you got through it. And or just reading it can make you feel better in the moment, at least for me. Um, and the ways like spiritual growth sort of becomes visible. I can tell you when I go back to like this one, because I did a lot more like journaling in this one. Y'all, I've come a long way, baby. I've come a long, long way. Even the spells that I wrote, I can tell like, yeah, I've come a long way. I got here a luck, money, more prosperity spell that I created. And I'm like, I already know I would do that differently. I already know, like, definitely. I've created like a lot of spreads in this book. Child, I'm just saying that girl. Oh, and also my interpretations of the cards is interesting as well. Anyway, yeah, an all-purpose rhyming spell. And I was working like 2017, I was working with Madame Izil, Ezil, um, Dantos. Um, dang. I was out here. I was a wild girl out here doing all kinds of stuff, working all kinds of energies. But it's cool to see that and to know, hey, that work. And by the way, that did the spell I worked. I'll never forget that. It did work. It took a couple years. It took a few years, but it did work. Now, imagine I hadn't wrote that down. I I might not have made the connection, which means I might not have been in a space of gratitude like I should be about it. You know what I mean? Anyway, um, but these books are not just paper and ink, although I love working with just paper and ink. To me, it's spell work in motion. It's evidence of my power. These books are evidence of my power, like physical evidence of my power. And I love that. Um, but if let's say you're a digital witch. There's still power in keeping a written record, even if you are, because you could just do it digitally. But I think the benefits that I'd like to emphasize about keeping a book of shadows or grimoire, magical record keeping, if you will, it keeps your practice grounded and consistent, helps you learn from successes and your flops, because sometimes spells don't seem to work, or like in my case, it took a lot longer because certain things had to happen. I can see that now. And spirit isn't always good, and the deities aren't always good about timing. Sometimes they are. You have to kind of write that in or petition that in. But yeah, I would have thought it was a flop, but because I recorded that, I know for a fact that spell did not flop. It did come through, and it came through when I needed it. Builds confidence in your spell work. When you see the work written down like that, um, you can become more confident because it's like, hey, I created that, or I adapted that, or I modified that spell, and I worked it. And you said, you felt prideful doing so, which is good. You should feel prideful about it, especially if it works and it works the way you intended. It's all Book of Shadows magical record keeping serves as a reference for when you're stuck or unsure. Remember in the beginning, I talked about the act of practicing magic could be adding pages to your book. Honestly, flipping through your book, connecting, reading some of the things that you did, just referencing, can help get you unstuck if you're not sure what you want to do or even how you're feeling. Sometimes, kind of just looking at what you've done so far or what you've recorded so far can help with uncertainty. I know that does for me. It becomes a legacy item. Again, I talked about mine, but your book in general, it could become a legacy item that you can pass down, or again, just reread it with pride. I can't overstate that enough. The sense of pride that you can have when you have like books that you've completed and their source of reference, and you can again see how far you've grown, but also maybe how far you still would like to go, or be just proud of yourself for how far you've come. Um, you don't need to remember everything. Your Book of Shadows remembers it for you. I just want to point that out. And then I want to talk about again, if you're sort of ready to begin your journey or refresh your Book of Shadows journey, I have created my books um, just for witches like us. So I like to get specific with this one. So this is the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, and then by the way, let me break this down again. Built for glamour magic, attraction, self love. So if you're doing your own healing journey or you just want to be in your soft witch era, this is perfect for you. I do have sections for beauty rituals, charm work, heart centered affirmations. Again, it's good for, I think this is perfect if you're working with like Venus, Aphrodite, or self adoration practices. Oshun as well, definitely. And then let me get back here. We also have the Hearth Witch, Book of Shadows, made for kind of like your cozy home based magic, like what I do. Seasonal rituals, kitchen witchcraft. It features domestic spell work, herbal charms, hearth centered protection spells. This one is great for those who kind of enchant their, not kind of, but enchant their homes and nourish their lives with magic. Also, we have the Hoodoo Grimoire, a modern take on root work without Christian or biblical overlays. That's what's in here to get you started. If that's your jam, you have blank pages. That's the point. This is your journey. You can add it. You can write things in the margins on the book as well if you want. You can add more details as well if you want. Yeah, there you go. Um, This is focused on accessible, ancestral, intuitive folk magic also. Um, that's where this came from. Uh, all of my books are available again at my website, leaptaken.com, Amazon, TikTok shop. Links, of course, are in the description. So, your Book of Shadows is a reflection of your power, your intuition, your magical legacy. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be yours. So, page by page, you're writing the spell of your life. You're writing this sort of moment in time. You're capturing it in your books. That's why it's so, to me, kind of magical. Um, I do just want to ask, like, what's one thing you'd want to include in your book of shadows today if you started, or what's something you're proud to have in it already? I'll go first with this question. Well, first of all, to be perfectly honest, I wish this existed when I first started because I probably wouldn't have to convert so many books. I just would have bought this. Because as you can see, I already, buy things like this and like this. So I'm already the customer of, this was something I was looking for. But one of the things I would say that I'm proud that I have already is just the amount of journaling that I've done, either my interpretation with tarot, oracle cards, also the dreams that I wrote down. I'm glad I included all those things, um, because again, sometimes you get messages and it's not something that's going to happen right now. You can have a dream. I did, to kind of give an example. Sorry about that noise. I dreamt of moving where I live now. I dreamt of this life. And I dreamt this life back in 2000, early 19. Yeah, the first quarter, 2019. I remember the dream came to me. Or yeah, like more January, February, I think. I don't know. I probably could look in a book and find a date, but I had this dream, and then things kind of happened months later, and I remember sitting in front of the computer, seeing the opportunity come up. And I was like, whoa, that dream did not go like it came back to me. And I said, if I do this, that dream's gonna come true. And I did do it. And the dream came true. So basically, as an entire family, my household at the time, everybody, we all moved here. I had a daughter who just graduated college, a son who was about to go into the military. At the time, I was with my then husband, and we came here for some work, and I knew that job was gonna come through because I knew from the dream. And yeah, now we're here, and I've been here. We're not. It's 6 years later. Dang, it's 6 years later. It's 6 years later. Um, that son has completed his military service. He just got back this weekend. My daughter has since gone and got another degree and is working in a very highly specialized field of nursing recruitment, for like studies where she's working with a neurosurgeon, excuse me. And she is just like, I am so proud of this young lady. I'm proud of my son, the commitment that he made to finish and finish strong. And he's going to be going to school, back to school, because I did send him to college first go around. Um, and I'm thriving as well. And I started a business. I have books published. I have more books that I'm working on to publish. I have a coven, which I'm shocked sometimes that I've maintained it since, like, I think it was like 2021 we started the coven. So like so many things have happened, and these were things I wanted. I wanted community. I wanted that connection, and it came to me the way it did, and it's just amazing. But I needed to move here for those things to happen. So that's what that dream was about. It's just amazing how spirit can talk to us. Our ancestors whisper to us, and if you don't write it down, you might miss the impact of what that was. It wasn't just about moving here and just, oh, it's just a move, because I've moved a lot. There were so many things that came with this move. And spirit knew that based on all the other things that I've been manifesting, doing spell work for. Well, this had to happen in order for those other things to happen. I don't know. I just find this sort of stuff amazing. Um, Yeah. I find this all, like, very fascinating, and being able to record it makes it so that I can sit in awe because I'm not going just by memory, I have so much, to record. And mind you, I realize there's another book which I don't even have. I actually started, um, before then, before this book. This was like the oldest one that I have. This goes back, like I said, 2016. But I have a book that I was working prior to then, and I completed that, and I call that my gratitude journal. But it was much more witchier than that. That was the intention, but I turned it into something else. Um, yeah. Then I have a scripting sort of book where I feel like that was magical. That's actually on my bedside. It's in one of my night table drawers. Um, that is very personal. I'm not going to share that, but yeah, there's that as well. I wanted to have a separate book for scripting. Here's the thing about scripting: you can maybe write the first time in your book, and you're like in, especially like in here and on a blank page, I would write it once. But if I wanted to keep going every night with something, I would have a separate book for that. That's just me. I would create a separate notebook or something like that where I'm just scripting. And when I say scripting, let me tell you one of the ways that it worked for me. So when we got here, so we moved here again, May 2019. So it's my coming up on my anniversary again of living here. So we came here, and we were in temporary housing. So we had to find a place to live. And I started scripting what I wanted, how I wanted to live. Hello from Belgium, new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing and welcome from Belgium. Hey. Um, I wanted to know, I mean, I wanted to write down what I wanted. I wanted to talk from or write from a place of joy, a place of gratitude, like it already happened. And this was something I write stories. So this was a very fun project for me. So I wrote down what I wanted to see when I walked in, how I wanted to feel. I basically would sort of write like a slice of life in my new environment. And I remember scripting about waking up and having a big, beautiful window. And I remember this because this is I kind of kept writing. I would write every night. So we were sitting in our sort of temporary housing situation. We were there for a handful of months. Um, till yeah, from May to August. Yeah, so I didn't come in the beginning of May. I think it was like mid-May because my daughter graduated school. I'm trying to remember. So I think it was toward the end. So what is that? June, July, August. So about 3 months or so we were there. And it was getting precarious because I was having a hard time finding a place. Either things were a little too more expensive than I wanted, or I'll be honest with you, it was like, I mean, I'm going to call racism on some stuff. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. But I think also where I was looking. So initially I was looking when I got here, I was looking in a specific area. And I feel like that area is incredibly pretentious. And I always joke I might catch a case if I live out here because I'm probably gonna swing on some person for being racist toward me. I don't want to argue. I'm not gonna pull out a phone. It's not gonna go viral. If you're coming at me aggressively on some race stuff, you know, you're gonna find out that was the day you probably shouldn't have came to me. I wasn't the person, and I'm not gonna stand around and wait and talk and police come and all that. No, you're gonna get it, and I'm out. I'm not even gonna. We're not gonna argue. I don't argue with men. I don't argue with crazy racist people. We're done. I'm gonna get you, and we're done. um, but yeah, I remember, and so I'm telling you all this because I was kind of getting discouraged, y'all. Things were falling apart. The places I looked at, like, it was falling apart, and I was starting to feel like, "What the frick are we gonna do? We can't stay at this place forever." I didn't know what to do, and I was getting a little but I was trying to, like, fight that feeling, so with joy in my heart and, from a space of gratitude, I made a practice, of writing out in that condo we were in, and it was a nice condo, but it was temporary. And I was writing out like, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna have my cup of tea. Maybe I'll have coffee this day. I'm gonna go into my office slash craft room slash witchy room, and I'm gonna, write and create. Y'all, that's what I do. I wake up, I see this big, and I remember seeing like light colors in my bedroom, and yeah. And I described the kitchen to a T of like the countertops, the cabinets, the spacing. I walk when the agent showed us this place. I almost start crying. Actually, I did start crying. I was just holding, I kind of looked away because it was everything I wrote about. And I was like, "Whoa," like, that really threw me. I was both shocked because it was so on the nose of everything that I had been scripting, and I was scripting every night for months until, we got it, until we got here. So anyway, yeah, a scripting journal is something I would probably keep separate from everything else because hopefully you're writing I wasn't rewriting the same story, I was sort of revisioning it at different days, different points. So yeah, I'm in the same home, but I would like write about a new discovery and how I felt about it. Yeah, so and when I moved here, I found that I could for the life of me, I couldn't figure out where I put it, and I did find it. The notebook that I was writing this in, journaling all this scripting in, and it and I started crying reading it because it was like there were a couple things. And just full disclosure about scripting. So I scripted details about this home. There were other things I scripted about at the time, the relationship that I was in. And one could look at that and say, well, that didn't come true. Well, here's the thing. The one thing that was in my power was to get the home. Um, there were some moving parts and pieces, but I was able to get the home. The relationship, you're dealing with another person. So you can have all these grandiose ideas on how that's going to look and what you want it to be. That's where we come back into this. You can have all these great ideas and you can manifest and do all those things, but the reality of it is the thing a lot of us aren't willing to openly admit, including practitioners, is maybe that's not with this person. The things I scripted, maybe that wasn't gonna be with this person. And then I realized a crazy thing. Maybe, just maybe, it's me. Maybe I'm the person that is providing this great love affair and all these wonderful experiences. Maybe it's me, and I come to find out I was right. Um, but that took time to get there. But yeah, those beautiful things I scripted about, I self-actualized that. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation about getting into love magic and things like that, and I could definitely talk about that separately. And I'm comfortable enough time is gone. I could be very candid about that. I'm open to that conversation. But yeah, writing things down, putting pen to paper, uh, your hands on a keyboard. It can get very magical. It can get extremely magical. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up here. Hopefully you enjoyed this and kind of like a flip through and kind of memory lane on some completed books and me creating these books to help you so that you can kind of do the same thing, except you kind of get a boost. And also to refresh your practice. So if you're somebody who you've been practicing for a while, let's say you've been practicing hoodoo for a while, the hoodoo grimoire obviously makes sense because you can add a fresh take on it or, kind of simplify things in this book. But let's say you are a hoodoo practitioner, but you feel called to work with glamour magic. Here you go. If you have been somebody who has been for the longest wanting to deepen your practice of domestic witchery, cottage witchery, or if you're this witch, but you want to get more into this, boom. Or if you're doing more of this and you want to get more into this, get that. This is not meant for you to identify as a specific witch. It's more about the practice. And I'm someone who always wants to learn. There's always more to learn. So there you go. You have a place to keep your records. I start it and then you finish it. All right, so I'm going to wrap up. Again, I appreciate you all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the join button. You can join Leap Taken membership. There are wonderful perks like 40% off everything over at leaptaken.com. By the way, go visit my website, leaptaken.com. I offer readings. I offer all types of services, mentorship programs. I have an Ask a Witch service. And again, the monthly moon readings, where if you want to get these readings, they're specific to you, personalized, delivered to your email box. You can go ahead and join the subscription there as well. And I have another channel if you're interested on seeing cottage witchery, kind of the lifestyle of a cottage witch. That's what it's called, Magical Lifestyle of a Cottage Witch. The link's in the description. There's a gnat in here in my face anyway. So you can check that out as well. And again, I just appreciate everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get your books. All right, bye.